Well, hi, this is Jay Arthur, author of Lean Six Sigma Demystified and the QI Macros. Over 50 years ago, I was one of those paper boys that stood on a corner and sold newspapers. And I started out selling the Sunday paper on a corner, the Arizona Star, and I would do that for a while, and then I became, a guy who sold the weekly paper 6 days a week, the Tucson Daily Citizen. And here's my little change purse. I found these most recently just hiding around in my storage space. And I thought, well, that was interesting. But then after about 4 or 5 months, I graduated into delivering newspapers. And so every day we would get together and they'd deliver bundles of newspapers. Here's my Star Citizen bag that I used to deliver in. And all the other kids, when the papers came, they would take them and set them down, and then they'd start folding them, and they'd throw them in a big pile. And then the big pile was disorganized, so it took them a while to figure out how to put it in the bags. And I'm telling you, I was an improvement guy a long time ago. So I thought that was silly. And so I started folding them up against the side of the house, right? So I could lay them in nice, neat stacks, and I could get them all in the right order, right? Because when you fold a newspaper and you throw it, you want to stick a finger in the middle so that you can throw it this away or that away, right? So you want the right grip on the paper so it'll fly properly. And so it was easier for me to stack those newspapers into that bag. And I could get them exactly the way I wanted to. And I had a paper route of about 120 papers, which was maybe I made $4-5 a day delivering newspapers. And if it took me longer, I was making less than an hour, right? So I had other things to do. And there was 2 kinds of rubber bands you could buy, those yellow ones that we all see that are always breaking on us. And then there were these green things, and they were hard to stretch, right? The yellow ones, if you took one of those on a paper route, I'd usually 2 or 3 times during 120 papers, you'd throw one of those out into the desert wind and it would explode, and you'd have to park your bike and run out and grab all the newspapers and put them all back together. And if it was unretrievable because there was high winds, you'd have to go buy another paper, which cut into your profits. Oh, it was awful. But the green rubber bands, man, you put those on there, they rarely ever broke. Once in maybe 2 weeks, you'd blow a rubber band. And I would buy the green rubber bands whenever they were available, because they weren't always available. All right, so I was already choosing my suppliers way back then. All right, so this was my process. And then I'd load up my bicycle, ride my route, between 5th and Columbus, and on the north side of 5th Avenue there. And guess what? I could fold 120 papers, deliver them, and I'd come back and there would still be kids there folding 50 or 60 papers and shuffling them, trying to get them into a bag. And eventually 1 or 2 kids figured out I was doing something different and started copying me, which was fine with me, right? I want you to get the idea that any job, no matter how trivial, even delivering newspapers, which is no longer possible, I might add, as a paper boy on a bicycle in Tucson, Arizona, that whole job can be simplified, streamlined, and optimized. And it doesn't take, scientific, exotic stuff to do it. What it takes is a little observation, and you can start doing it. Now, some things have to be a lot more refined to make that all work, but here's the idea. Everything, any job of any kind can be simplified, streamlined, and optimized so that it's faster, it's better, it's cheaper, it's safer, right? This is all a good thing. So that's my story of being a newspaper boy and using the tools of quality, even before I knew what they were.